I still check the locks 3 times before I sleep. Every single night. I don't think I'll ever stop. It's been 4 years since that weekend. 4 years since my friends convinced me to go camping at Hollow Creek. 4 years since I came back alone. The police closed the case 8 months later. They called it an animal attack. I know what I saw. And what I saw had 2 legs. It was October. The kind of October where the air smells like wet leaves and cold dirt. My friends, Dana, Marcus, and Tyler, had been planning the trip for weeks. A cabin deep in the woods of rural Tennessee, about 2 hours from the nearest town. No Wi-Fi. No phone signal. Just trees, a fire pit, and a lake that sat completely still, like glass that never moved. I remember thinking the drive-in felt too long. The road kept getting smaller. The trees kept getting closer together. By the time we pulled up to the cabin, the sky was already turning that dark purple color, the kind that tells you night is coming fast, and it's not going to wait for you. The cabin was old. Not charming old. Old like something that had been forgotten on purpose. The first night was fine. We made food. We sat by the fire. Tyler told stupid jokes and Dana drank too much wine and laughed too loud, and everything felt normal. I almost relaxed. I almost let myself enjoy it. Then Marcus went quiet. Marcus was not a quiet person. He was the kind of guy who filled every silence with noise. So when he stopped talking mid-sentence and just stared out into the tree line, I noticed. I asked him what was wrong. He shook his head slowly and said, "Nothing. I just thought I saw something standing between those trees." We all looked. The tree line was dark. Nothing moved. The woods were completely silent. And that's when I realized the woods had been silent for a while. No crickets. No wind. No animals. Just thick, heavy quiet pressing in from every direction. Tyler laughed it off. Dana said Marcus was trying to scare us. We went inside and locked the door. I didn't sleep that night. Not even a little. The second day was when things started to feel wrong in a way I couldn't explain. Not scary wrong. Just off. Like when a word stops looking like a real word the longer you stare at it. Everything looked normal but felt like a copy of something normal. We went to the lake in the morning. The water was cold and dark. Marcus wanted to swim. He walked in up to his knees, and then stopped and walked back out without saying anything. When Dana asked why, he said the water felt wrong. She laughed. He didn't laugh back. That afternoon, I walked around the side of the cabin to get firewood from the pile stacked against the wall. And I stopped. In the dirt, right next to the wood pile, there were footprints. Fresh ones. They came from the woods, walked right up to the wall of the cabin, and stopped. No prints walking away. They just stopped. Right at the wall. I stood there for a long time looking at them. I told myself it was a hiker. I told myself there was a normal explanation. I picked up the firewood and went back inside, and I didn't tell the others. That was my mistake. That night, we heard it for the first time. We were all in bed. It was maybe 2 in the morning. I was staring at the ceiling because sleep wasn't coming, and the cabin felt too small, and the woods outside felt too big. Then I heard it. A knock. 3 slow knocks on the back wall of the cabin. The wall that faced the woods. I sat up. My heart was beating in my throat. I waited. I told myself it was a branch. I told myself it was the wood settling. Then it came again. 3 knocks. Slow. Even. Patient. Like whatever was doing it had all the time in the world. I got up and went to Marcus's room and shook him awake. His eyes opened, and before I could say a word, he grabbed my arm. He had heard it too. We woke Dana and Tyler. We all sat in the main room in the dark, not turning on any lights, not making any sound. and we listened. For 20 minutes, nothing happened. Tyler whispered that we were being ridiculous. He stood up to turn on the light. That's when something knocked back from the other side of the front door. Not 3 knocks this time. Just one. One single slow knock. Like it knew we were there. Like it was answering us. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. And then, in a voice so quiet I almost didn't hear it, Dana said, "There's someone outside." Not a question. A statement. Like she could feel it the same way you feel someone staring at the back of your head. Tyler looked through the small side window next to the door. Just a quick look, 1 second, and then he stepped back. His face had changed. I had known Tyler for 6 years, and I had never seen that look on his face. Not once. I asked him what he saw. He said, "There's a man standing at the edge of the trees. He's just standing there, looking at the cabin." We locked every window. We pushed furniture against the doors. We sat together on the floor in the center of the room, and we waited for morning, and none of us spoke above a whisper for the next 4 hours. The knocking came 2 more times that night. Always patient. Always slow. Never aggressive. That somehow made it worse. Something aggressive wants a reaction. This felt like something that was simply waiting. Like it had done this before. Like it knew how the night was going to end, and it was in no rush at all. In the morning, we grabbed our things and we left. We didn't pack properly. We didn't clean up. We just left. The drive out felt even longer than the drive in. We were 20 minutes down the road when Marcus said he had left his phone in the cabin. Before any of us could say anything, he said he would be fast. Just 2 minutes, he'd run in and run out. Tyler turned the car around. Marcus went inside alone. We waited and waited. And after 10 minutes, Tyler and Dana went in to find him. I stayed in the car. I don't know why. Something told me not to move. Something told me to stay very still and not make a sound. Like when you're a child and you're certain something is under the bed, and you know that as long as you don't move, it can't touch you. I sat in that car for 40 minutes. Then I drove myself to the nearest town and called the police. They found the cabin empty. No sign of a struggle, the officer told me. No sign of Marcus, Dana, or Tyler. Just the cabin, the trees, and the lake that never moved. They searched for weeks, then months. They found Marcus in the spring, 3 miles deep in the woods at the base of a large tree. The report said animal attack. I read every word of that report. There were things in that report that don't match any animal known to live in those woods. I've spent 4 years thinking about those details. They never found Dana or Tyler. I checked the locks 3 times every night. I don't live near any forests. I don't go camping. I don't take long drives on roads that get narrow. And sometimes, when the house is quiet and the night is heavy, I hear it in my memory so clearly it feels real. 3 slow knocks. Patient. Even. Waiting. And I sit very still, and I don't make a sound. The first time we left the cabin, we swore we would never return. That was 3 years ago. I kept my promise. My brother didn't. That's why I'm the only one left. It was Jake's idea to go back. It's always Jake's idea. He's the kind of person who walks towards strange sounds instead of away from them, who opens doors that are clearly meant to stay shut. I love that about him once. I hate myself for ever finding it charming. He called me on a Thursday night, voice bright and excited, said the old cabin at Mercer Lake was available for rent again. Same cabin we had stayed in 4 years ago with our friends. Same cabin we had left in the middle of the night without explanation, all 4 of us silent in the car. Nobody willing to say out loud what we had all seen standing at the tree line at 3 in the morning. I said no immediately. He said it would be just the two of us this time. 2 nights. In and out. He said we needed to face it, or it would follow us forever. I said no again. He went alone. He called me the first evening, around 7. Said the cabin was exactly the same. Small, cold, smelled like old wood and damp. He sounded fine. Normal. Happy even, the way Jake always sounded when he was doing something he shouldn't. He said the lake was still and beautiful, and he had made a fire, and everything felt completely peaceful. I told him to call me before he went to sleep. He said I worried too much. He never called. I drove up the next morning. 4 hours. The whole drive I told myself he had just fallen asleep without calling. I told myself he was fine. I told myself I would arrive, and he would be sitting on the porch with coffee, and that stupid grin, and I would feel foolish for panicking. The fire pit outside was cold. His car was there. The front door was unlocked and wide open, cold morning air moving through the whole cabin like it had been open all night. His phone was on the kitchen table. His boots were by the door. His jacket was on the chair. Jake went nowhere without his boots or his jacket. Not in October. Not in the woods. I stood in the middle of that cabin, and I called his name, and my voice came back to me flat and small, and the woods outside didn't react at all. No birds. No wind. Nothing. Just silence pressing in from every direction. I should have left. I know that. Every part of my body was telling me to get in my car and drive, and call the police from somewhere far away. But it was Jake. It was my brother. So I walked to the tree line, and I called his name again, and I looked into the dark space between the trees. That's when I saw the marks on the outermost tree. The big oak right at the edge where the grass ended and the woods began. Long deep scratches in the bark. Low down, near the roots. Like something had been crouched there. Like something had been waiting there for a long time, crouched and still, digging its fingers slowly into the bark. And beside the tree, pressed into the soft dirt, were 2 footprints. Facing the cabin. Just standing there, still and patient, looking out at the cabin from the dark. They were not Jake's. They were too long. Too narrow. The toes pressed too deep, and the heel barely registered at all, like whatever made them carried its weight at the very front of its feet. I had never seen prints shaped like that. Not from any person. Not from any animal I knew. The police came. They searched. They found Jake's things but not Jake. They found the marks on the tree, which they photographed and said nothing about. One officer, older, quiet, walked the property alone for a long time. When he came back, he wouldn't meet my eyes. He just told me to go home and that they would be in touch. I grabbed his arm before he could walk away. I asked him if anyone else had ever gone missing from that cabin. He was quiet for a moment. A long moment. Then he said, "We stopped renting the cabin after 2019. I don't know how your brother booked it. As far as we knew, it was off the market." I drove home. I sat in my driveway for a long time. Then I looked up the cabin rental. The listing Jake had sent me. The website, the photos, the booking confirmation he had forwarded to my email. The website didn't exist. The domain showed no results. Like it had never been there at all. Something had made a listing. Something had reached out and found my brother specifically and put that cabin in front of him, knowing he would go. Knowing I wouldn't. It had separated us on purpose. They never found Jake. The case is still open. I don't call to check anymore because the answers are always the same and the silence after them is unbearable. I think about those footprints every day. Too long. Too narrow. Weight at the front. I think about whatever stood at that tree line 3 years ago when we were all there together. How it just stood there and watched and didn't come closer. How we left and thought that was the end of it. It wasn't the end. It was just waiting to see which one of us would come back. Jake came back. And something that had been waiting for years was ready.